Auto-configuration. Auto-configuration is an important functionality in an internet. The idea is that a host gets its valid IP address, gets known his neighborhood, so the router and the name, the domain name. And in IP version 4, this was only possible with the DHCP protocol, the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. The DHCP protocol was responsible to dynamically allocate an IP address to the host, to allocate a host name, to provide information about the default gateway and information about the responsible DNS server. DNS, the domain name service. The DHCP protocol works in a stateful mode. That means the respective DHCP server knows which host uses which configuration and keeps track of all these interactions. This is a very systematic way, but it needs a lot of resources, it needs time, it needs resources. So the question was, is it possible to provide more mechanisms for auto-configuration in the IP version 6 world? And exactly there is provided such a functionality in a stateless mode in an IP version 6 internet. This is called the IP version 6 auto-configuration. And this IP version 6 auto-configuration, in contrast to the mechanisms in IP version 4, makes it possible for the host to configure an interfaces in a stateless mode. And what the host is doing, he is using the NDP protocol, the Neighbor Discovery Protocol, which helps the host to localize an IP version 6 router in the local IP version 6 link and to request the local prefix. The host creates a link local address for each interface that does not require a router and does not require administration, a lot of administration. The host is doing this by itself. The only problem is it needs to be guaranteed that the address is unique. And the host checks the uniqueness of the address on the link using an NDP duplicate address detection mechanism. When we discussed NDP, I mentioned this functionality, the detection of duplicate address, and here's exactly the point where this functionality is needed. When the host selects a host name, selects an address, then a mechanism is needed that helps the host to check whether it's a valid address, and it's a valid address if it's follows the right prefix and other things, and when it is unique. And this uniqueness can be checked by means of the NDP protocol. Then the host calculates by himself a global address, or he obtains this by the DHCP protocol, the DHCP version 6 protocol, which is also mean for such auto-configuration. And the host determines the next hop. That means the host finds out the default gateway for destinations outside the local link. This was the way auto-configuration is done by the help of the NDP protocol in a stateless way. But I already mentioned that in IPv6 it's also possible to perform this auto-configuration by means of the DHCP protocol, the DHCP version 6 protocol. Here the auto configuration does not only allow to determine the responsible server name. This is a criticism on this IP version 6 auto configuration, that this NDP-based stateless auto configuration does not allow to determine the responsible name server. So with the auto configuration, the stateless auto configuration, there is no logging of the interface configuration used by the host of a network segment. There is no instant which control and records and archives this activities. And so for an administrator, it's very helpful to use this auto configuration with more resource needed, but also more functionality providing DHCP protocol version 6. So the DHCP protocol version 6 allows the system administrator more control of the distribution of the IP addresses in the networks. There is an overview, there is a recording of all these processes, and this is an advantage, but it is more resource needed way, this traditional way with working with the DHCP protocol, with the stateful protocol. So the auto configuration without DHCP is less provides less load on the network and require less infrastructure. It's less complex, but in certain contexts, it's very helpful to use this DHCP mechanism compared to the stateless auto configuration. So we have in IP version 6 two ways for auto configuration: the stateless, less load providing way, and the work based on the neighborhood discovery protocol. And the second, more traditional way by means of the DHCP protocol, which needs more load but provides more support for the administrator.